Hello guys, welcome to Cafe at Simplify, and we are diving into our psychology questions from 81 to 110. According to Sigmund Freud, which part of the personality operates on the reality principle? We see that is ego. The ego mediates between the unrealistic desires of the id, which we talked about, the moral restrictions of the superego, and the demands of the external world. It helps to ensure that behavior is realistic and socially appropriate by postponing gratification when necessary to avoid negative consequences. Yeah. The ego part is the one which decides that when this and this is done, the outcome will be negative. So let me wait, let me hold on, let me be patient. 82. What is the term for the unconscious defense mechanism by which individuals attribute their own undesirable traits to others? We see that is projection. Projection involves attributes of one's own unacceptable thoughts, feelings, motives to other person, often as a way to avoid acknowledging them in oneself. That is projection. According to the five-factor model, which personality trait is associated with being organized, responsible, and reliable? We see that is consciousness. Yeah. What is the term for the defense mechanism in which unacceptable influences are expressed in socially acceptable way? We see defense mechanism, then unacceptable impulses expressed in socially unacceptable way. We see that is regression. We see that there is a change, so that is sublimation. Yeah, sublimation. You see, we are having it's a defense mechanism, unacceptable influences. So we see these unacceptable influences or behavior expressed in socially acceptable. It means I I attribute it to the process of sublimation, of changing. So sublimation involves shadowing inappropriate or harmful impulses into positive, constructive activities by allowing individuals to express their instincts in a socially beneficial way. According to Carl Rogers, what is the concept of unconditioned positive regard? We see that according to Carl Rogers, the concept of unconditioned positive regard, we actually talked about it up, loving someone or accepting someone the way they are, related to loving somebody unconditionally. It means accepting and valuing a person without judgment. That is A. What theory of personality emphasizes the role of collective, unconscious, and archetypes? So the answer is got from the question. This type of responsibility emphasis. So look through and we see that it is the analytical psychology. Yeah, the analytical psychology. The theory of personality that emphasizes the role of the collective unconscious and archetypes. Archetypes is Carl Jung Analytical Psychology, the founder, in case they ask it that way, Carl Jung's Analytical Psychology. According to Albert Bandura, whom we have already seen, the term for the self-belief or believing in one's capability to perform a specific task or reach a goal is self-efficacy. We've already seen this. 8. What is the term for the enduring characteristics that describes the individual's behavior, such as sociable and shy? We say that is personality trait. In Eric Erickson's theory of psychological development, what is the primary crisis during adolescence? We see the primary crisis during adolescence is all about discovering oneself. Yeah, and yeah, so we see that relates to identity and role confusion. Try to put an explanation here that during this stage, adolescents explore different aspects of their identity and try to establish a sense of who they are really. According to psychodynamic perspective, what is the term for the process of pushing, threatening, or conflicting events to a situation out of conscious awareness. We see that conscious awareness, pushing, threatening, or conflicting events or situations out of conscious awareness. We see that that is repression. It's a defense mechanism that keeps dissociating memories and desires out of conscious awareness. We see that in this repression, I try to put it as how it differs from regression. We see that repression is a defense mechanism. It fights all those memories every time so that you keep positive. While regression is at one, it's a defense mechanism in which individuals revert to behavior typical of an earlier stage development in response to stress or anxiety. So regression related to, in case you, let's say you used to is in case you used to have some habit when you're young, and then whenever you are stressed you repeat that habit, that means you are carrying out that regression. So you lick used to lick your fingers, yeah. Then when you get stressed, you repeat that stuff over and over. That is the process. Or anything else you used to do when you're young. According to the arousal theory of motivation, what is the relationship between arousal and performance? We've already looked at that one. And so that performance is optimal at moderate levels of arousal. What is the primary idea behind the hierarchy of needs proposed by Abraham Maslow? We see that one, we've also looked at it, that people are motivated by psychological needs first and then move up the higher level needs, or higher level needs then follow. According to drive reduction theory, what is drive? We see that drive is a physiological state that arises from a need and prompts an organism to seek a goal. It is drive, self-drive. You have a goal to pursuing. 94. What is James Lang theory of emotion? It says that physiological arousal proceeds the experience of emotion. Proceeds means comes before. So physiological arousal comes before the experience of emotion. So according to this theory, we experience physiological arousal first, like heart racing, and then interpret this arousal as a specific emotion. Then you get afraid, yeah, or you get excited, or you fear, something like that. For example, we feel afraid because we notice our heart is racing. Be there, your heart is pumping heavy. You feel afraid. That is the physiological arousal precedes experience of emotion. That it is this which comes first, then emotions. Like you first smile, then you become happy. You first be happy, then you smile. According to the canon bad, we see that those are two people who form the air theory of emotion. How are physiological arousal and emotion experience related? We see that physiological arousal and emotion experience occur simultaneously, but each is what? Each is independent. What is such a single two-factor theory of emotion? We've already looked at. Now most of these objectives are repeating. Single two-factor theory says that emotional experience is a combination of physiological arousal and cognitive appraisal. So according to the facial feedback hypothesis, what role does facial expression play in emotion experience? We see that facial expression, answer is B, influences physiological arousal. What is the role of the amygdala in the experience and processing of emotions? We see that one, the answer is D plays a key role in emotion response, especially fear. According to the Cannon board theory, what does the brain respond to emotional? How does the brain respond to emotional stimuli? You see the answer is A. The thalamus sends signals simultaneously to the cortex and the automatic nervous system. What is the term for the idea that facial expression not only reflect emotions but also influence emotional experience? We've seen that as facial feedback hypothesis. Then then chain one, chain 100. What is the term for the tendency to perceive a series of still images? Conscious in motion. Whenever we see still images, you remember physics A level, it is the astroscopic motion. Yeah, it enables you to study things which are static. What is, in the context of visual perception, what is the term for the ability? It is ability, not inability, to perceive objects and having constant shape. Whenever you see constant shape, just know that they are talking about shape, constant shape, color, despite changes in the perspective. Constant shape, color is size constants or shape constants. So we'll go with size constants. What is the term for the perception of three-dimensional space and depth? We see that is depth perception. It's like 3D. Which molecular cue to depth perception involves perceiving objects that are closer and blocking a particular blocking distant object? We see that is interposition. What is the term for the visual illusions where parallel lines appear converge in the distance? We say whenever you see parallel lines, it is linear. So linear perspective. Which binoculars cue to depth perception relies on the slightly different images projected to the retina of the two eyes? We see that is retina disparity, because they're all supposed to be on one retina. What is the term for the tendency to perceive incomplete figures as a whole? We see that is closure. According to the Gesell principle of approximity, how do we perceive objects? Proximity. How do we perceive objects? We see that we perceive objects as connected and forming a group if they are close together. Second last, what is the term for the tendency to perceive smooth, continuous patterns rather than discontinuous? We see that is continuity. Continuous. Can use a dimension to answer that. And finally, in auditory perception, what is the term for the inability to locate the source of sound? Yeah, inability. What is the term for the ability to locate the source of sound? We see that is localization. You are locating specific area or spot. And so guys, thank you for tuning in and remember to subscribe.